Remember I had in between 1 and 2? Look at all the numbers I got in between them. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 went around from here, 1 to 4, which is the next time around. Remember this time around, the next time around, it's all the way over to here. And to get from 1 to 4, to have these 2 in between it, how many do I have in between it? 1, 2. So in between 1 and 4 is 6 and 11, which gives me 1, 2, 3. The family number group is, the numbers isn't really what's mattering in the family number group, is that it's showing that everything is separated by thirds. It doesn't matter that a 4 is a 4, a 1 a 1 is, or a 7 is a 7. It's saying nothing more than everything has a phasing, or an energy, a positioning of thirds based on stars and spirals, spires, not spirals, spires, because this emanation has a sequence order, a phasing, a firing rate, an activation sequence. Real complicated stuff. There's nothing more harder than what I just told you. Okay? But as long as we're on it, and I never get the opportunity to talk about it, I think I'll go to my most hardest sport for a second.
Could I just ask you one more question?
Sure.
You said that 2 and 7 is the z-axis. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Actually,
that's the only z-axis ever, right?
No.
Oh. 2 and... okay.
It gets more complicated.
But 2 and 7 is fundamentally distinct from the 1, 8 and the 5, 4. In other words, you know...
As an axis?
Yeah.
No, let me just answer your question without it being posed, and you tell me where you're driving at.
Okay. I'm not sure. But
what is happening is remember I did that chart with 3 different controls? You still only have 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. You only have the 3 polar pairs of 8 and 1, 7 and 2, and 5 and 4. But in this system, you also have, because everything's in threes, you also can do a what we call a activation, moment of activation. It's called a stage, activation stage. And each one of those polar pairs can rotate to another axis.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
What counts is it can only be those polar pairs. They're only separated by third, and you're changing from one axis to another. And they actually have a sequence order of how they change. And I believe that happens on, if I ever did computer modeling, I would show it, as you have more layers. Each layer would be a different family number, would be another polar pair. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay. In other words, it's a lot more complicated than even we've begun to discuss, but your mind's contemplating all that stuff already. We've all contemplated real complicated stuff. You were very complicated. You're very complicated. Everyone's been real complicated, okay? But you know, this is your first class. So, but all that stuff is real. It will transpire. It does happen. What is this math really could be said? It's number permutations. And what are we looking at? We're looking at the toroid, which is the ultimate shape for number transformation, for energy transformation. That's why your blood cells are a toroid. This is why everything's based on a toroid. Okay. So thus, that means then you can work on your own transmutations, permeations. Okay. That's what this math is about explaining. Is how the elements become other elements, and how time moves, and how cosmology is beginning, ends, created. What I learned from understanding this is lots of stuff. Okay, let's keep me on what I'm supposed to do. We now know this coil is wound in a certain way. Okay, but what keeps this coil together? I found that the emanations shoot out in a spiral that's even going over this whole thing that's even bigger. There's spirals over spirals. Here's the doubling circuits we were used to. Okay? But here we have, it's really a beautiful chart. First of all, we see it's going 1, 9, 1, 2 going in. Here it's going 8, 9, 1. In the reverse direction, it's going out. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. The pink ones are swirling outwards, so they're decompressing, as the yellow ones swirl inwards, compress. These are nested vortices over the surface of the toroid, like dimples on a golf ball. By their existence, they get rid of crash. It cannot even tilt. There is no tilt in this toroid. It cannot tilt because they're in quadrature. When this 2 and this 2 and this 2 and this family number group's activated, and the other 8 and 5 of the same family number group, the other 7 and 1 4s are activated, and they're all breathing in and out in such a way, like dimples on a golf ball, or like, I wish I had a better picture, but they're all focused on the center, these nested vortices. In fact, I do have a good picture of it. Nested vortices focused on the center look just like this. Okay? They're vortices focused in the center. Some spiral in and some spiral out. The ones that go in are called a negative vortex or a black hole. The ones that spiral out are called a white hole or positive vortex. Okay? And I figured out how the timing is, how to harness these vortices, these nested vortices. They're very important in superconductivity, and that's why I spoke for Airspace America. That's why I have the most advanced flying machine in the world. Okay? That's why I can get rid of petroleum. Because I know the secret. I don't even need an airplane with wings. Okay? Staggered column nested vortices have the strongest gripping intrinsic strength. And this is just the opposite of DNA. So when I go to DNA, you'll see just the reverse of this. It's real interesting how this and DNA are connected. Because DNA uses the nested vortices in mitosis to do the sister strand unraveling. See, why don't I show you DNA? See if I can find it. Oh, it's somewhere. Well, let's see. It must have been in the back of one of these boards. Oh well, I'm going to give up looking for it for the minute. You know where it is? Okay, would anybody care to guess and tell me where the DNA chart is?
On the back of the one that's up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There we have it.
That's what it should be.
Right. Here's your double spiral helix. Here's our symbol. Remember our doubling circuits are double. Remember the space for the 396? In microbiology, that's called your major groove. Would you believe that DNA has that 396, that flux field? That DNA is bounded by an invisible field, and that is the source of our genetic coding that determines our evolution, that it isn't random trial and error or haphazard chance. Yeah. We're not going to suddenly de-evolve.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But your pinkies may get smaller. Okay. So, symbol of enlightenment. That's what I call that symbol. And sure enough, you can actually see it if you look inside DNA. You can actually see the shape of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh my God.
Isn't that trippy?
That is so trippy.
I think I heard they already have cracked the genetic code, right?
Say it again? Loud.
They have cracked the genetic code, right? I mean,
No one's cracked the genetic code. They are showing the connections of the amino acids, the phosphates, their sequence order. They know nothing of the code. If they knew of the code, then they would be able, or they cannot manipulate the code. All they're doing right now is like when we mapped the moon 20 years ago. All they're doing is locating where the craters are, where the mountains are, things like that. They don't know how to crack the code.
But aren't they trying to make cyber people with like all the artificial like forms? Like there's that thing that the president vetoed against artificial, was it gene splicing? I forget what it is.
Well, working on humans,
Yeah.
embryos, but that's typically accepted to be inhumane,
Yeah.
unethical, and immoral.
Yeah,
Um,
but they're working.
But then, if you're not a member's nation, just go to your own Mad Doctor's Island, right?
Yeah.
And but actually, they've already done it. They did it with the tomato. Haven't you ever
Yeah.
heard the tomato?
Yeah.
That's a fish.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's frightening what they're doing, I think.
Tomatoes as a fish? Never heard
Yeah,
that
they use
one.
the DNA of the fish and put in the DNA of the tomato, so it makes the tomato last longer, apparently. On the
Oh, well,
shelves.
yeah, I heard about
Does it
that.
swim?
Is it that they use the DNA of the fish to make that happen?
They do it with
So many
soybeans. They do it
tomatoes.
they have the control of all soybean crops, and they're doing the same thing with soybeans. I don't know what they're doing from.
My brother has one of those tomatoes. He's kept it. It's still there. It has
Tomatoes.
disintegrated. It's
Really?
actually gotten like, when you pick it up, it feels heavier, he says, than when it really was a tomato. And now it's like, it still looks like a tomato, but it hasn't gone rotten.
I
He's
think.
had it for over 2 months or something.
Really? We should keep it in an aquarium where it belongs.
Not eat it.
vegetarian.
It must like,
Yeah. You're total vegetarians?
No, but if you were to tell the vegetarian that there was really a fish inside his tomato, then
Well, it already happened though. The state of New York, all the gourmet chefs and everything, they signed a agreement amongst themselves that they would never, in any of their expensive gourmet restaurants, ever serve a genetically engineered with a tomato. But all our food is already
It's
engineered.
already, I mean, it's out of control.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at anything that's not organic, it's engineered with petroleum. You have petroleum in it, so it's like...
Well, actually, I'm fighting a case. I'm about to sue a supermarket here, Star Market. I actually was responsible for the law becoming recognized because I don't eat commercial produce as much as I can avoid it. I like organic, and I don't like those coatings on cucumbers. They make me sick and stuff. It turns out that a lot of that stuff is, dangerous because the waxes are a fundamental part of the wax. The wax is just the carrier. The fundamental ingredient of the wax is the fungicides, which are chemicals that are used to actually kill mold and things like that. And a lot of these chemicals are called economic poisons. It's been determined that they'll kill 5 people per every million that eat them, which is considered an allowable, acceptable amount of deaths because of the financial benefit of it. And they say it's an legal economic poison because it would cause economic hardship in the industry, and therefore those 5 people are simply put expendable. Okay. And so, but the problem is we should have the option, the right, especially for what we call value and safety information comparisons, to make a decision on what we consume.
So when you go in the supermarket, you can have a sign, you may be one of the 5 people as a victim of this.
Right. Right. And I've read the autopsy surgeons' reports on people who did die. It's pretty horrific how they die. Usually it's anaphylactic shock. They
and
suffocate.
how often does it happen?
Happens
As
day
soon
in and
as
day
they
out.
eat it,
Oh
or-
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Some of
Just
them.
cucumber wax?
then the rest of the people just
Hmm?
get sick from it. They don't die.
Yeah, but
You
they
just get
don't
shot with
know.
parasites.
He's asking, is it just from cucumber wax? Or is it from other stuff?
I don't want to scare you. You should be eating fruits and vegetables, and you should be consuming all these things.
That is
Fruits and
not-
I'm a fruitarian. I don't eat beef, chicken, fish, no milk, no eggs, no dairy, nothing but just living things, sprouted things, stuff
Yeah,
like
me
that
too.
by itself.